Hey, what's up? It's John Samuel, and welcome back to All Access. I know we've been out of touch for a while, but we are back with a double packed edition of the show today because we have Sarah Clark and Natasja Brezenski, who are the designers for this year's Drip My Cane campaign. And I can't be more excited to have them on. So, what's up, y'all?
Hey, John.
How are you guys?
Good.
I'm good. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited about this because Drip My Cane is something that I am just so, passionate about and excited about. And this year we went in a different direction rather than having a contest where we had designers from all over the world. We actually had y'all do it. So, Sarah, can you kind of talk through what Drip My Cane 3.0, kind of the direction we went this time?
Yeah, so this year, instead of having the designs being outsourced, we did them in-house this year. And we figured we would highlight, we chose 4 different partners of Abler, folks that we've been partnering with for a while and that have been really supportive of us and vice versa. And we figured it'd be really fun this time just to kind of make like bespoke designs featuring these 4 companies. So that's kind of the direction we went this year, just to kind of switch it up and just try something new. And I think it worked out really well. And we're getting the votes in now, and I think we're up to like 30 plus votes, which is exciting after just launching it yesterday. So I'm really excited to see what design gets picked.
Awesome. And so, we have Natasja here. And so, Natasja, who are you? Like, where did you come
from? So my name's Natasja, obviously. I know Sarah. We went to school together, went to college together. And she reached out to me, I don't know, last month about helping John with his book launch and just doing some social media and marketing stuff. And then he asked me to help collaborate and design for these cane designs. And so Sarah and I just kind of, brainstormed a little bit, and we both picked 2 to work on, and I don't know, just had fun with it. It was really cool to like learn about these partners because, I'm like new to the Abler scene and all that kind of stuff. So it's really fun to learn about all of these really amazing companies and organizations.
Yeah, no, I'm so thankful to have you in our ecosystem now. You, like you said, you just joined a month ago to help me with the book launch, and you came in, you jumped in head first or feet first, whatever you call it, and you hit the ground running, and it's been awesome. And so, but Natasja, you have a background in design / art, right? Like, what's your background?
Yeah, so I've always been an artist. I've always been interested in things like drawing and painting. It's been my background for a long time, but I also majored in studio art when I was at Chapel Hill, and I currently work at Poland Art Center, which is a community art center here in Raleigh that is part of the city Parks and Rec. And I work the front desk, but I also have taught some classes, and I work in the studios. I've been helping out in like ceramics and jewelry, which has been an interesting thing to kind of explore other things. But yeah, I'm definitely, I consider myself an artist. For sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Sarah, you went to journalism school, but you have this background also in graphic design because you created my logo, you've done so many different things. And like, kind of what has, kind of you working on graphic design, what is this kind of your background into this and tie into it?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. In the journalism school, the Hussman Journalism School, at UNC Chapel Hill, there's a lot of different branches that you could follow. And this was kind of when I didn't really know what I wanted to major in yet. So I was really just trying a sampling of different classes. But a big focus at the journalism school is, ad and PR, but then also within that, graphic design and like kind of brand design, figuring out how to market your brand and the different steps behind it. So that's kind of where I got my knowledge of graphic design, the basic design principles, and I got really interested in it, and it was really, really fun. And it definitely did help with this Drip My Cane this year in terms of, brainstorming best practices, and, it helped me get started for sure.
Awesome. So we split them up into two groups. Sarah, you had two, Natasja, you had two. So Sarah, why don't we start with one of your first designs, and Natasja, you go into one of your designs, and we'll go to Sarah, back to you, Sarah, to talk about the other design. And cool. Well, zigzag.
Yes.
Yeah,
cool.
Perfect.
So Sarah, let's jump in the first one.
Yeah. So the first one is for me. I got started right away with 3-2-1 coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. I think it's a defining part of my personality, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, the way I kind of started was a lot of times with my designs, I go with word association, kind of like these word games in my head of like, okay, when I think about this brand, what else do I think of?
Yeah.
And of course, with 3-2-1 coffee, the first thing I think of is coffee. And then, okay, from coffee, I think of coffee beans and the production. And so really, I wanted to keep it somewhat basic, but still look nice. But because of, the dimensions of a cane is 2 inches by 30 inches, you need it to be a repeating design. It's, the cane itself is pretty thin.
Yeah.
It's a slender piece. So thinking of something that would stand out, but not be too boring, but also not be too complex. And then also keeping in mind that we want to use this black and white design again, because we want the white to be the retroreflective piece. So keeping those things in mind, figuring out, okay, well, this is a high contrast piece. What will look good, with all of these different elements. And so I settled on, I found this coffee bean design, and have it like kind of scattering, because a lot of times when I think of coffee beans, and then when we went to that packing, we packed a couple of bags at 3-2-1, watching that, and watching the coffee beans kind of fall into the bags was my source of inspiration. So I put together this design that looks like coffee beans just kind of scattered or falling across or down the cane.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited. And I also think it kind of resembles leopard print almost.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Which, because of just the way the beans are designed. And I think it could look really cool on a white cane. And so the piece that would be retroreflective is the bean itself. The bean is the white piece on the black background. So I'm pretty jazzed about it. I think it could look really cool. And, something else we've talked about a lot is, with the purpose of Drip My Cane is, your disability doesn't necessarily define you. Of course, it's a piece of you if you want it to be.
Yeah.
But, as I identify as a coffee lover, I'm sure many other folks do as well, even if they have a disability or not.
Yeah.
So I think having a coffee bean design for a cane could be really cool for those other coffee lovers out there that do use a white cane. So that was exciting for me as well. So it's kind of like a point that just something I can relate to with other people is coffee. I think something that brings us together.
Yeah, and I think it's a great like conversation starter too, to be like, this is, a part of, like you were saying, like people identifying as like coffee lovers and be like, yeah, I love coffee, so I'm going to put it on my cane because I use it every day. And like, I drink coffee every day, like makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it on the head, Natasja, right? Because the whole idea of Drip My Cane was to break down that barrier and open up those conversations, because we want the cane not to be this barrier for people to be scared about saying the wrong thing, but to bring people, and art brings people together, and this is the way to do it. So very cool. I'm excited about that one. So Natasja, what did you start off with?
So the first one that I did was the E1. So I think this is,
people don't know the E1
yeah.
watch,
So
right?
they are a company that makes these watches that are like it's a very tactile way to like tell time, and I think these are so cool. Like I was really excited about this one. But I was like, because I was playing around with like, okay, whenever you're designing something for a specific company, I definitely like to take into account like logos and like common like visual themes that they have.
Yeah.
But with this, I was like, I don't know. I think this watch face, like their product itself, is so interesting to me that I was like, I wanted to kind of go with that. So I kind of just made my like own version. I mean, it's very similar to the actual watch, but I kind of tried to simplify it a little bit, that I kind of just went with that design, that it's very simple. Watch face doesn't have any numbers or anything, but it's usually when you look at something like that, when it has like that same number of like, you know, you can tell when it's a watch because it has a certain number of like ticks and stuff like that. But yeah, I
So
don't
like
know.
you're talking about like the raised
Yeah,
number
so
markers.
like it has a
Raised markers.
line for like each.
The tactile.
Yes, the tactile
pieces.
markers. Gotcha.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
And yeah, I was like, I kind of like that it's somewhat recognizable as a watch face, but it's not like you're gonna meet, like maybe someone will be like, is that a watch face? Like, I don't know for sure. And like, it could also like somewhat of a conversation because you're like, it looks familiar, but it's somewhat simplified that you're not entirely sure, which I thought was kind of cool to.
Cool. So what did you use how did you use color? Like did you use black and white too?
So yeah, I did black and white as well. So for the actual like watch part is what's white. So that's the like retroflective part. And I think it's really cool. I think I liked the idea that we both were like, we're keeping it black and white, because I think it makes it really stand out, and you're focusing on the actual like subject matter.
Yeah.
Rather than, I don't know, a bunch of other distractions.
Yeah, but I think also, I mean, we talked about a lot from a low vision perspective and that high contrast. You know, I think it's nice having that contrast of color. I mean, white and black, and then we add in the retroreflective, and it's like a pop, right? That pop of like
exactly, yeah.
And I think that will. And again, I think it's just classic style colors, right? Just very stylish in the sense that, again, that's one of the pieces. We want these canes to also be stylish and kind of match and represent the style of the individual. So very cool. All right, Sarah. So what's next?
So next is Lazarillo, which I was super excited about this one as well. And so Lazarillo is a wayfinding. They make wayfinding accessible for folks with disabilities. And something that they do is like one of their focuses is subway systems. So I honed in on that. I think that subway maps look really cool. I really like that they're very simplistic, but they mean a lot. And so I just went with subway tracks. I wanted subway tracks running up and down the cane.
Oh, interesting. Nice.
Yeah. And I made it into like a repeating design so that so it wasn't just a vertical subway track. It also went kind of around the cane itself. So I think that could look really, really sleek. And I hope it translates well onto like a thin cane. Sometimes it's hard to imagine what designs would look like when it's wrapped around a small, kind of structure. But I'm really excited. I think that it could be really cool. And so I've got the subway tracks themselves. That's the white piece. So that's on a black background. But then I've got the locations, like the different stations, so to speak.
Yeah.
Those are a black dot, but there's a white ring around it. So I think it could be pretty cool. Still for that contrast piece, that you'll be able to tell some of the stations will be retroreflective as well. So I wanted to make sure that, trying to figure out a way to incorporate the stations and the design and make it, kind of more dynamic than just making it black and white, I guess.
Yeah.
It's all black and white, but like incorporating the white into the station as well. So I'm excited to see how that translates. Yeah,
I like the fact that you chose the subway, because it's the Lazarillo actually worked on the subway or the light rail subway system in Qatar for in time for the World Cup, which is coming up in a week or two, I guess. So really cool kind of thought process you went with the subways, and I love it. And so, Natasja, what's your last one?
The last one that I did was for Disclo. And to be honest, I don't know a lot about what they do, but for this, I was like, because I did my research a little bit on their website, and I saw that like it is, from my understanding, about making accommodation requests easier at someone's workplace, which I think is always very important. But for this, I was really intrigued by their logo. I thought it was fun because it's basically like 4 colored shapes in this square. But I wanted to break that up a little bit more than just like using their logo to have a bunch of shapes that kind of would probably, I feel like, would lose a little bit of their, I think you would get a little bit busy. But I remember John mentioned to me when we were, I think at 321, was that with their name being Disclo, they kind of like to sometimes lean into the disco like idea with the play on words of their name. And so I was like, hey, I mean, I think it'd be fun to do something with like a disco ball. So I will say this one is definitely like on the busier side, but I had a lot of fun with it. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna go with it. So basically what I did is I have like, and when I made it into a pattern, like there's multiple different sizes of like disco balls, but basically like one disco ball, and then like on the sides, like I kept those like shapes that they use in their logo, but I made them just like a little bit smaller. So they're still like around the disco ball, but they actually end up kind of looking like stars kind of, and it kind of looks like a disco themed, like,
a disco.
Disco.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. Like I said, I'm not sure how it's going to look on the cane. Like I'm really intrigued to see that, if that happens, but yeah, no, I had a good time with that one. So
I mean, the prototype that we had, the E1, when we made the prototype, we want to see kind of the capabilities of the label on it. And shout out to Steve, the label guy, the Liberty Marketing Solutions, and be helping again with the labels. But when we had the prototype, it was busy, and I actually thought it was pretty cool because
super cool.
There was so much stuff going on it that there's something cool about it. You're like, wow, this is cool. What's going on here? And when we talk about breaking down those barriers and having conversations, I think having a busy cane may bring that kind of talking points to have. And so I'm super excited. And Disclo is an awesome organization led by Hannah Olsen, who is just one of the best entrepreneurs I know out there. And so yeah, I mean, 4 great organizations, 4 great cane designs. And so Sarah, maybe we can put a link to the voting.
Yeah, let's do that. I could do that in the comments of this post, actually.
Perfect. Awesome. And so when is the voting going to stop? What's the deal?
So voting opened up yesterday, and it's going to end at the end of day next Wednesday.
All right.
So it's going to be open for a week.
All right.
We're already getting some votes in. Really cool.
Go vote. Get your votes in, right? It's voting season, right? It's like,
oh my gosh, it is.
It is voting season. So go out and vote for your favorite cane design, and and I can't wait to rock these canes. And so we'll make the canes, we'll get them out there, and I think it's just gonna be awesome to have even just raise more awareness. So I can't thank you guys enough for to really making this happen. Each year we're evolving, and I'm glad we're bringing in partners into this because it's awesome. We're highlighting partners and raising awareness for the great work they're doing, raising awareness for the white cane itself. And thank you both for helping to bring this whole dream and together this year. So
of course, it was fun.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And well, thank you both. Thank you, Annie, of course, for making this happen. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And please go out and vote. And we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye everyone.